It's not fair. It took me 2 years to learn Racket. But, yeah.
Yeah.
The funny one is Turkish. Turkish is so French. We just say Turkish, thank you. Just give up. There's no English with Turkish. What's that? Before we start, obviously we didn't know who we're meeting on what subject, so this is very broad. It's not intended to be, let's get to the point of what we talk about, because I don't want to interpret what areas of connection you potentially see. So I'm just going to show you a little bit about what we do, a little bit about what we've looked at in Ukraine from an agriculture side of things, and a little about Neon City, because we want to go a bit crazy. And then, first way,
Will we anything?
well, what I mean is there's nothing in it that is like we want to talk about. It's just,
Олександр, можна вже? Да.
what Evolve does is quite unusual. So setting out what we do is generally as well as my skills. Where my son was nothing. As opposed to 15.
Ну що, добрий день, шановні колеги, шановні студенти, аспіранти, викладачі. Щиро запрошуємо вас на лекцію Філіпа Лі, доктора медичних наук, генерального директора Evolve International Group, керуючого директора Evolve Growing Solutions Ltd. Доктор Філіп Лі у перші роки своєї кар'єри був комерційним фермером, здобув ступінь у галузі інтеграції енергетичних систем харчових відходів і ґрунтознавства та захистив докторську дисертацію в галузі проєктування передових стійких систем виробництва продуктів харчування. Маючи пристрасть до сталого та інноваційного виробництва продуктів харчування, у 2012 році він заснував Evolve Growing Solutions з метою інноваційного перетворення глобального виробництва продуктів харчування. І сьогодні шановний доктор Філіп Лі приїхав до нас, особисто завітав до Національного юридичного університету імені Ярослава Мудрого, щоб виступити зі своєю лекцією на тему «Трансформація України. Шлях до зеленого відновлення та глобального лідерства у циркулярній економіці». Лекція буде проходити англійською мовою. Доктор Лі буде виступати англійською мовою, але ми попрохали, щоб це було зрозуміло всім, повільно. Після лекції ви можете задавати свої питання шановному доктору, а, власне, допомагати в проведенні. І, власне, наша колега, вона і організувала сьогоднішню зустріч, доцентка кафедри екологічного права, Копиця Євгенія Миколаївна, вона наразі перебуває в Оксфорді, і вона теж, ми встановили такий місток між країнами, і вона теж буде сьогодні модерувати сьогоднішній захід. Будь ласка, Євгенія, вам слово.
Hi, it's a great pleasure for me to be able to join you. And as you can hear, I'm like an emergency situation when I have to proceed with sharing my greatest appreciation of you come to my home university from the railway station in London, because today we're meeting with the British Parliament, and we're going to talk about the reconstruction of Ukraine with the British parliamentarians who have, as most of the British people, shown an immense support of Ukraine, and we really appreciate it. And we really appreciate dear Dr. Philip to find the time and to honor us with his visit to Kharkiv and to Yaroslav National Law University. And just a few words how important it is that we all know, and most of the colleagues of mine are aware that the ongoing war in Ukraine, it's a tragic global challenge, but it also presents an opportunity to rebuild with advanced and cost-effective circular economy solutions. And we really appreciate that Doctor is going to talk about that, because by synergetically coordinating the waste, water, energy, and food sectors, Ukraine can not only transform its political system, but also can become the most sustainable country on earth, if not to be that much loud. And we're really looking forward to your lecture, because we are already motivated to create every possible condition from Ukraine to build back better. But we really want to showcase to the whole world about the Ukraine's potential to become a global leader in sustainable development. And we want to show that becoming the member of the European family, we can be a really true, lighthouse, a true jewel for the world's sustainability efforts. And thank you very much. We are looking forward to your sharing your expertise. And one more time, on behalf of this great bridge that we managed to start now, we would be looking for further cooperation and collaborations, that with these joint efforts between the UK, the great experts from the UK, and Ukrainian academia in this case, and businesses, we would really do all our best to make Ukraine stronger and greater and prosperous nation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Evgenia. Thank you very much, Doctor. And a lot of thanks for your visit, for your lecture. So the floor is yours, please.
Okay, first of all, Dziękuję. It is an honor to be here. Apologies if I get emotional. The first trip to Ukraine I did was in February 2014, and I didn't know or understand the Orange Revolution and the protesters in the square. I went to see them, and they were teenagers. They were parents of the teenagers. And I went to a place called Mafia on Krishyatik, the restaurant. And I was sat in there and I heard fireworks. I thought fireworks. It wasn't fireworks. It was the first shots being shot. And for the last 10 years, I have been to Ukraine many, many times, and fallen in love with the country, with the people, with the city. First with Kiev, which is my favorite city in the world, until I then last July come to Kharkiv and see this incredible, modern, beautiful city. I love Nemo dolphins, I have to say. We're going tonight again. And seeing the worst thing about this war is, in so many ways, it is not a war. It is like terrorism. There is no value to the missiles and to the bombs that have dropped that have any relevance to some military gain other than to just bully And this is heartbreaking. I'll say no more now, but the honour is the other way around. And I can tell you on behalf of all English people, I honestly believe I'm speaking on behalf of all English people. I think how we sum up our appreciation of Ukraine and Ukrainians is that I think most English people just think of you guys like us in World War II with the Blitz. We didn't give up, we won't give up, we never give up. And we watch this country that most people have not really heard of. Somewhere out there is a country called Ukraine that doesn't touch the sides for English people's experience. But you have a bully, and you are standing up, and you are not giving up, no matter what propaganda and whatever is thrown at you. And I tell you, I'm lucky I have quite a big house, and we have let a few Ukrainian families come and stay with us. And I tell everyone the same. Walk on the street, walk into a supermarket, walk into a cafe, and if you have to say, me no speak English, Ukrainian, every single English person will come and help you, because we don't know what else to do. So I can assure you, whatever happens with America and politics, England will never stop supporting Ukraine, because we see us in you. So that is us. Hopefully Dr. Paolo Mazzoloni is online and connected to this meeting, otherwise I have no slides to show.
Yeah, I'm here. I got muted by default, but I'm here.
Paolo, if you could share your screen.
Yes.
Dr. Paolo Mazzoloni is not only an incredible engineer, he is a doctor of chemistry, and he is also a very passionate human being who has also helped a number of Ukrainian families come out to Budapest and get their visas and across to England. So without him, I wouldn't have been able to have helped as much as I could with his own family. So, evolve, my goodness. I will try and speak slowly and keep this as succinct as possible. I created Evolve out of designing and building the Sahara Forest Project for the Emir of Qatar at the UN climate change talks in 2014 and 2012, sorry. And that was the most sustainable thing on earth at the time, from taking seawater all the way through to cooling greenhouses, concentrated solar desalination of seawater to fresh water, all the way through different value propositions until it becomes salt. And it is a great honor that the latest project we're working on is Neon City. And this is one of the core tenets of Neon, that seawater is taken, and not a drop of brine or contaminated water goes back to the city. So it'll take you on a wide journey, hopefully interesting. Paolo, if you click through. So Evolve has been, we started Evolve Growing Solutions in the UK. We have been behind the forefront. If you just click through Paolo, the forefront of significant innovation and development in the world of commercial horticulture. My PhD research was 7 years and 5 PhD areas in designing the most sustainable building envelope there is. The first one on the top is liquid foam being used as an insulation material in the walls of a greenhouse or building. A version of this just won the Innovation Award at Green Tech in 2022. We invented what is now called the air tubes. This is the system of cooling from underneath the plant. It's very, very simple.
And I'm telling you this stuff is important because there's lots of high-tech solutions, but often the best solutions are very simple. So in the Gulf, you have pad and fan greenhouses. You have a pad wall on this side of the building, which is simply honeycomb paper. And on the other side, you have fans blowing the air out. And this forces the air to come through the greenhouse and out the other side. These pad walls are water, which is cooling the greenhouse. The problem is you use 15 times more water cooling the greenhouse than you do irrigating the plants. And you do not grow 15 times more tomatoes. So the problem is in the middle of the greenhouse, the temperature is actually hotter than it is outside. The air finds the path of least resistance, which is above the crop, not through it. So you are wasting all of this water. So all we did was put the fans next to where the pads are, small fans, lift the plants up, put tubes underneath the plants, and blow the air down. So now everywhere in that greenhouse is the same temperature. It is not rocket science, but it's transformed the efficiency of the greenhouses. And now the Dutch glasshouse industry, which is the dominant greenhouse industry, calls it the new way. And yet it was something a 5-year-old would think of. We look at deep sea cooling of islands where you can pull up 6-degree water and cool operations on the land using almost no energy because the weight of the sea pushes the water, and technologies like that. And the last one is on ETFE, it's pure polymer. It's what you're shopping at here in the center that has been damaged the roof. The first thing I noticed, this is ETFE. This is a plastic, but nothing to do with oil. It lasts forever. We don't know how long, 500 years. It lets all the natural UV light through. It is Teflon, so it's self-cleaning. And it's immensely strong, which is why so many architecture projects in England, your colleagues in England will know the Eden project in Cornwall. This is all ETFE. And it is set to revolutionize the greenhouse industry, for which we are creating new versions of the film. So, next slide, please, Paolo. So, Evolve International. So, we won't go any more about Evolve Growing Solutions, but Evolve Growing Solutions is about growing the solutions, not solutions for growth. So, we created Evolve International in Dubai after realizing that where the real need in our know-how and our skill set and our contacts is in waste, energy, water, food. And they are very siloed sectors. They don't talk to each other. They don't understand the needs of each other. Evolve International is a global team of practitioners. So there are no simply consultants or academic consultants. These are people who are the ex-head of innovation for the biggest water companies, the biggest waste companies, all of which have reached the point where they are able to consult with us and as part of our team. And we count the likes of Bill Michael, the ex-chairman of KPMG, has himself forward to help with projects. The ex-head of innovation for the biggest energy from waste company in Europe, Viridor. The ex-head of innovation for Yorkshire Water, one of the most innovative water companies, all working together, used to the real problems of solving things on the ground, from where it is now, and looking at technology that is useful, not just high-tech. It cannot be high-tech or low-tech. It has to be the right solution, whatever that solution is. Okay, Paolo, if you click through, I don't want to spend hours. So who do we do it for? Everyone from Neom City, the UK government, through to project developers, urban planners, retailers, and research institutions. We do a lot of catalyzing. Next,
великий інтерес до прямого ефіру. Я поки тему називати не буду, але дуже цікаво почути, щоб вам було цікаво послухати на прямому ефірі. Тому напишіть, будь
Oh, can you go to the next slide, Alan?
So, okay, we do this through everything from horizon scan due diligence. We do a lot of due diligence for investors, looking at technologies, whether they fit well or not, through to feasibility studies, all the way through to the design of projects and the oversight of their construction. Again, pulling in the right teams to do this, that we have taught over time how to think beyond just their own discipline. Next slide, Paul. How we do it is through a series of designs you see here. We'll let you go through these in the slides, but again, we have the best digital twinning technology in the world, I think, coming out of Sweden, and this is not just digital twinning to look vertical reality. This is about, if you're going to put a 7-Eleven here, what does that affect 75-year-olds' access to food at night? Planning, real planning. So it can be an incredibly powerful tool. It's very powerful for the likes of Neon, where it is a city from nothing. It's also very powerful when you're really looking at how do you reconstruct a whole city's infrastructure? Which bit goes first? Which will affect the population the most first? Which will help get your children into school quicker? All this stuff can be mapped out in virtual reality. It's not perfect, but it is an incredibly powerful tool. And then all the way through to, again, designing programs and technologies that fit together. The second slide is the process design. That's multiple different technologies fitting together with each other, which is what circular economy is about. Circular economy is, what does nature do? There is nothing in isolation in nature. There is no waste in nature. There is just one thing, is the feed of the next, is the feed of the next. We often look at technologies for waste where it will destroy everything. That's great. At huge energy costs, well, that's great. But what if you didn't destroy it? What if you were to enhance and make use of it so that you now have incredibly valuable products for agriculture, all the way through to aviation fuel? So the most high tech is not necessarily the right solution. Paolo, please next. So yeah, we do these designs already. Next, please. Okay, so let's just click through this. So yeah, just click through these. These are various projects we designed as a sub-class. And so RIPE is very important, and I believe that the establishment of a very large greenhouse industry in Ukraine could be fundamental to the next level of your agriculture. Let's be clear, you guys have some of the best soils on earth, fantastic, but you have a lot more potential than that. And so RIPE is a company that we have that stands for Rapid Installation Process. Again, this is a solution called this ETFE material. It isn't anymore, but was more expensive than glass. So it's too expensive. But it comes on rolls of 200 meters of glazing. Surely, Paolo, click through the slides, please, as I talk. So ETFE, it weighs 1% the weight of glass. It lets in more light, and critically, the UV light. We walk around a glass house and say, wow, there's lots of light. Well, we're not a plant, we're certainly not an insect, which have been making use of radiation, whatever they can get, all of it, some of which we just don't understand. It lasts a very long time, it's 50 years there, it can be 500. And end of life, you melt it and blow it, it's the same material, it's plastic aluminium. There are more ETFE greenhouses in Japan than there are glass houses in Holland, and nobody's heard of them. Because in Japan, there's earthquakes, so they can't have glass houses. So they've developed this material very effectively over time. And of course, everyone knows how high the quality expectation in Japan is for food. It has to be very tasty. So let's crack on, please. So our idea was simply, well, it's an expensive material, but it's about how much does the building cost, not how much does one element cost. If you make stick or bricks, they might be more expensive bricks, but if you can build the house quicker and it lasts longer, this is how we solve problems. So we created machines to install the glazing into the building, a whole 200 meters of glazing in 10 minutes. This is how you make things efficient. Click on please, Paolo. These again, just examples. This is the Natural Light Growing Centre, University of Warwick. This is the most advanced research greenhouse up there. There's me building it without a hard hat on. It's not a good picture. In this case, we used ground anchors, not concrete foundations. This is a 1,200 meter square building. In one afternoon, in the rain, we put all the foundations. End of life of this building, we can take all the foundations out and go and put them somewhere else. They're more expensive, but it becomes more efficient. So click through the panel what you want to go through. The key is we spend nearly £1 million UK government money, which is if this ends up on the UK government, thank you Innovate UK and chat. Just for this poster. That building is exactly the same as the very best quality glasshouse, Dutch glasshouse, except this glazing. And this poster, independent testing of what matters to a consumer. What does it taste like, smell like, crunch like? Every metric that you, when you buy something, say, I like this, is measured. And so all of the other retailers, this is in the very first crop, 6 out of 10. We get 9 out of 10, but we grew them also to 4 times the size for Mindful Chef, the box scheme, the big retail, which when something's a lot bigger, it shouldn't taste as much. Well, that's 8 out of 10, which for my opinion is better than even 9 out of 10. The key thing is that is about the impact of the UV light on those plants in ways that we don't yet understand what the actual functioning actions are. We just know that the plants have evolved for 700 million years under that light, so give them that light. That thinking is what needs to be embedded in the circular economy, in biomimicry, in these things. Not what do we know, but to be open to what we don't know and making use of that as the research and science develops. Okay. So, click through please. Thank you. So we are right now putting together with the biggest retailers in the UK and the biggest farmers. We just had confirmation, inshallah, it's been presented that Dyson Farms, you may have heard of Dyson, the hair something. James Dyson is incredible engineer, incredible inventor, incredible visionary in what he does, very courageous, great fan of his. And they have also gone into farming, and so they are looking at what's next in farming. So we've just had confirmation through one of our team that Dyson Farms also wants to collaborate with us. And this is about biomimicry farming, which sounds very well. Biomimicry is a phrase from architecture. The Eden project in Cornwall is a biomimicry building. That's about looking at nature structures and how to best use those in how you build a building. The reason this is important is right now you have conventional food production, which you have massively here, which is petrochemical fertilizers, pesticides, mechanization of farming. Mechanization of farming, great. It can be electric powered, it can be diesel powered, etc. Pesticides are being challenged and we need to find ways around them. The petrochemical fertilizers, great, but these are finite resources. Phosphorus, you have NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. Phosphorus is a finite material. We use some of it and it all ends up in the oceans. Even in the most high-tech farming operations in the world, 60% of the nitrogen that gets applied to the crop will not get into the plants. It will end up going through the soil, going through into eutrophication through the soil in the worst case. So you then have organic. Okay, so idea of this is a bad way of farming, so let's go back to the 18th century of farming, the old tradition. This is great. The problem is The food footprint of London, if everybody ate organically in London, fair enough, not vegetarian, but if they ate organically in London, you would require the whole of the rest of the country and most of Ireland to feed London. So I'm sorry, organic will never feed 9 billion people. We need to do more, and we need to look more. There are little things happening, they're not little, but things like regenerative farming, which is sort of the next step from direct drilling into the ground, etc. They are good steps. The idea of biomimicry is to start with the natural processes. Biochar, which is a material that I did a lot of research in. Bacteria, archaea, fungi, all of these things that we know almost nothing about, in truth. I was blessed to study at the University of Reading's Soil Science Department, 4-story building, just soil, not agriculture, nothing, just what is soil. And when the professors that write the textbooks for the rest of the world for soil are telling you we have spent millions and millions understanding and developing petrochemical fertilizers, and 50 cents understanding the soil we put in. That is where we were, that's only 2005. So, and just as an aside of this, you know, there were 2 PhDs then in how does an earthworm digest? The most important macroorganism in the soil. In 2005, we still don't even know how does it digest, because we don't pay attention to natural processes. Well, they've been experimenting for 700 million years, rather ruthlessly, so there is so much out there that we should be stimulating. So this biomimicry farming platform is an attempt to start with putting all of these different biomimicry approaches, from foliar applied materials to seed treatments to the soil, to both grow the crops and grow the soils going forwards. There was a UN report a few years ago giving 50-year more harvests. Maybe Ukraine, because you haven't overused your soil, has another 10, 20 odd. But we need to think much further than that. Move on, please, Pavel. So, yeah, I'll circle it. So, is this the video? Do you want to just play through the video? Okay, so yeah. You'll be a bit jerky, I apologize. Just cut to the video, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But this will help you see. This is a lot of work into the process of an entirely new city. And that will be, the Crown Prince's vision is incredible. This will be 100% sustainable city. There can be criticism in the world for the design and some of the ideas that are within this. But as I've stated at numerous conferences across the world, the most important thing about NEOM is not NEOM. The most important thing about NEOM is the Crown Prince has had the vision and the courage to say, we are going to build 100% sustainable city. And the biggest management consultants, the biggest engineering firms in the world are all commissioned to develop this city. And respectfully to them, and it's to anybody in the world of infrastructure, it is a huge challenge. Here is the design, not good enough, do it again. Not good enough, do it again. Not good enough, do it again. This is educating and giving a sandbox opportunity to these very large, very capable companies, which I have been saying since we started engaging with NEOM 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. The big project, of course, is this fantastic city and this fantastic vision, but the big place for this in the future, I dream and hope, is Ukraine. Because not the wow sides of it, but the nuts and bolts of this. Where else is there an opportunity? Just, if I dare to say, ignore the war, ignore the terrible losses, ignore everything. Imagine you are autistic engineer and you don't have these abilities to empathize, and you're just looking, where in the world is there an opportunity on a countrywide basis to completely rebuild everything? The terrible that it is, when I was honored to speak very shortly with Dennis Shamel and UK Rebuild guys, no doubt your colleagues with them now, at Mansion House in London, where Winston Churchill gave his war speeches, and outside is the Blitz Memorial. And I was moved to say that the worst thing that ever happened to London was the Blitz. The best thing that ever happened to London was the Blitz. On a human level, it's the worst. On a pure, dry, logical basis, we had infrastructure that was hundreds of years old. Who is going to ever make the decision or challenge to just rip it all up and start again? Nobody. It will never happen. So right now, whilst you are in the middle of this terrible situation, and I can only see as an observer from the outside, I hope, the fact that I'm prepared to come here and sit with you in bomb shelters and sit when those horrible missiles coming without warning, that I'm not just talking theoretically. So we will show you this wonderful vision. Hopefully you can see what could be out of it that isn't just wow. How do you?
Yeah, let me know if you hear the sound of the video.
In just 7 years' time, in 2030, NEOM will be generating 85,000 tons of food and organic waste every year. By 2050, that number is projected to rise to 1.9 million tons. To maintain NEOM's sustainability aspirations, all of that waste needs to be treated and transformed into valuable outputs in the most environmentally sensitive way possible. To deal with this challenge, NEOM needs to adopt a scalable, sustainable, and future-proofed approach to organic waste treatment. Covering food waste, green waste, and biosolid residues to provide NEOM with valuable new resources, such as nutrient-rich soils, organic fertilizers, and energy outputs for Food Valley and other NEOM needs. The first step in this process is to collect the waste from all the different sources within the city, including residential areas, retail establishments, restaurants, and green spaces. All of the waste is then transported to the treatment sites outside the city, where it will undergo the process of transformation, turning it into valuable new materials. The sites are designed in such a way to ensure low visual impact, with them being sympathetically hidden from the line. Making use of the natural landscape and harmonious planting will ensure this is achieved with the minimal impact to the natural environment. The transformation process involves the use of the latest cutting-edge technology and sustainable practices to convert it into outputs to be utilized throughout the city. These technologies are specifically designed to work synergistically in order to create a highly flexible range of material outputs, initially meeting the needs of food production through to valuable precursor materials and even, in time, aviation fuel. This will ensure future-proofing for the ever-changing needs of a rapidly developing urban environment. By utilizing recently discovered knowledge of ancient soils, along with new developments in transformative materials technology, NEOM's circular organic system will achieve a biomimicry-based range of living soils, fertilizers, and liquid nutrients designed specifically to match the challenge of growing sustainably in NEOM's pristine arid environment. Turning this vision into a reality will distinguish NEOM as a leading global innovator of a truly circular economy. Here are just some of the materials that can be produced. Capturing the potential of all these different outputs from within one comprehensive system, the long-term sustainability and viability of the city and its residents will be assured for many generations to come.
So obviously that's a grand vision of the future for a very special purpose, a city designed to show the way for the next future generations. We created the whole model from scratch. We created all the designs, and obviously there are elements in there like not being able to see it from the city, etc. That matter for neon. You know. The key is that is all made up of lots of individual technologies that are new technologies, but they are true, that are financially viable, that are outputting materials that are needed and relevant to the end user of them, that are sustainable in the most important element, to my mind all the time, which is financially sustainable. We all think of environmentally sustainable, and that is very important. The problem is you can create something that is very, very, very environmentally sustainable that nobody uses because they can't afford to. You have to find ways that unlock, and we call this process valorization of materials. The reason I told you about the biomimicry platform in the UK, which we're developing through this year, the whole intent is that this will become a whole new category of food production. And it is part of it because it's, the funding that we're going after will be to create products that will be able to be sold and make value, is bringing together what's known right now in this team to produce these first biomimicry products. But it is also to create a platform where some researcher working in a university in Kharkiv or in Panama or wherever has discovered some little blue thing in the soil that does this or does that. How does that end up in commercial food production anytime in the next 20 years? By creating this platform where that is wanted, needed, taken in, invested in, and developed very rapidly. It means that this ticking clock that we have, which is as you're an environmental university department, not just a Ukraine university department. Your focus before this war was the environment, and so I'm sure I don't need to tell you how long we think we may have left before our resources are starting to impact and the pressures of 9 billion people, etc. That is a ticking clock that is not going to stop ticking for any war, any situation on Earth. So this is to create a platform that really triggers, not to try and own it all, and that's where the problems are. We have all these large organizations who own the agriculture, they own the nutrients, they own the platforms, etc. That, of course, are serving their shareholders, sharing their profits. Business is business, but by creating a platform that can stimulate new innovation and rapidly get it into the market, because there is the retailer and the consumer that want it. The key is to be able to achieve conventional yields, if not higher, with vastly greener credentials than organic, at a price point that is moving ever closely close to the original price of conventional, because it is making, you take a bite out of the cherry, don't throw the cherry away. Find something else that will make use of the next, and the skin or the seed. And I was lucky enough to live with Navajo Indians in New Mexico for nearly 2 years in the 1990s, which is where all my original ideas come from. I was a specialist with autistic children in a different life, but I went to go and live with them because of how they are with special needs is very different. But I learned from them, you know, they kill a buffalo. Every single thing in that buffalo has a purpose and a use. And still, the most, just for any architects watching this, the most energy efficient building on Earth is a teepee. It is by far, imagine living inside a Venturi effect. It is the most effective, clever building. There is no building on Earth that is as effective as a teepee. So were they savages, or did they know something more than we seem to know modern times? So that's a little bit about us and a little bit of the depth and breadth. We know a great deal about energy systems, a great deal about waste systems, a great deal about food systems. And our work at International is a strategic level of looking at what is the need, not what is in our backpack. We are technology agnostic. We do not care which technology. We will constantly, we just conducted the world's biggest review of vertical farming systems. We know more about every vertical farming system on Earth than anyone does, technically, financially, commercially, operationally, etc. Simply because for the New York City, if you want to get your vertical farms into the world's first city with vertical farming designed within it, then you have to come through this process of assessment and a new piloting project. They're building incredible world-class facilities to literally test vertical farm systems until they approve them before they buy for the whole system. The key is, when we work with those companies, they know we're not going to steal their data, share their information, etc. What we do is say, now we understand your system, there's actually something over here we're aware of that might be able to help you. What about this stuff we found over here? We do this constantly, because then we are able to advise our clients a better solution for whatever the system is. So we sit in quite a unique position. We're not government funded, we're a private company, but we're not here to sell anything. We're here kind of like, I can tell, the only architects in this space of waste, energy, water, food, but particularly with, you can have maybe 10 systems for water treatment, 15, 20 for energy. Arguably, the numbers for waste. There's 5,000 options of where that can end up with food. And it's kind of there where we live the most, but with a thorough understanding of the others, so that we can inform the waste and the energy development and structure of where the things are. So, hopefully that was interesting. And from Evolve's point of view, NEOM is fantastic. The vision of the Crown Prince is fantastic. The vision of the Arab world, where they can go out to the desert and there is the stars, the sun, the moon, the fire, and the desert, and sit and think, what if? Is a vision that a lot of Westerners don't appreciate. They think, oh, it's because they've got all this oil money, etc., etc. Yeah, Dubai now, yeah, crazy idea. Yeah, it's got the biggest footfall of any man on the planet. Ski Dubai, I buy Ski Dubai hats and give them to everyone. Yeah, crazy idea. Where do Arabs go on holiday? It's not to beaches. That place is full, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They are very clever and very smart and have no holdback on the vision of what's possible. And being able to take the innovation that is being driven in places like that, and in the West, in Europe and the UK, particularly the UK farming industry, is pretty much as good as it gets. To be able to bring the bits and pieces and then help Ukraine, and I think this is almost more important, help Ukraine develop its own strategies. If we help you, we are not here to tell you what to do. We are here to learn from you and then help translate that into what's the right steps going forward, the right road. And one way or another, we are here to help do this in whatever small way we can. So that's it. Dziękuję.
Thank you very much, dear doctor. So, dear Philip, thank you very much. So, has anybody question?
Yeah, of course.
Please, Alessia.
Thank you very much, dear Philip, for extremely interesting report or speech. So I'm not a technical one. I'm aware. I'm about European Union law, and I'm not very familiar with maybe all these technical points that you have explained us. But I'm so appreciated because, for example, as for me, I just found myself that I didn't have any idea about biomimicry products, for example. I just heard about them in general. But the first what was which I would like to underline is the great support that you have you are sharing with us today, and your words were so touchful, and it's also made me cry, because we are living not very easy life now, but we are trying to survive, and we are very happy that someone is believing to us and to our future. I know that we will win, but we need the time, we need the support, we need the help, and you just mentioned about American decision, and that we depend on this support very much. But about your speech, I have maybe some questions, but they are not very professional, maybe.
Please. We say the only stupid question.
I thought that my question won't be so stupid. I hope it will be a little bit clever, maybe. So let me let distance from the political maybe obstacles which we face now with the development of our agriculture sector and with our economy at all. So how do you assess maybe the ability of Ukraine in future to build maybe something like these projects? And the first one question, the assessment, because I heard that you assess very high our soils and our natural resources. Unfortunately, the large territories of Ukraine are polluted very much because of Russian aggression, etc. I don't want to talk about this pollution and overcoming of these problems, but what do you think? What are the most, maybe, the biggest maybe obstacles to Ukrainians, to Ukrainian maybe farmers or Ukrainian business in in applying for such projects that you have? So the more, as you say, just distance from the political issue. Or it's clear, it's obvious, yes, we have to overcome this, and I hope that the world will help us, because ourselves it's impossible to do. So the obstacles and how you assess our ability maybe to overcome, because I know it's not the question to foreigner, it's our problem to resolve that. How to assess our ability and the obstacles, which you think the most maybe most important or something else. Thank you.
That was a very, very good question. Because the obstacles normally in a situation like this, not the war, but looking at how do you start a program of bringing together waste, energy, water, food, which is a huge challenge for a country like England, let alone any other country, is rarely about the technology. It's rarely about the needs or the materials, etc. It is entirely the politics, normal politics, and the galvanizing of the stakeholders to, looking around this room, looking around the city, I spent half my life in 2 different states of mind. I'm probably crazy. We are capable of such incredible imagination and applied imagination. Without me getting into another lecture, the one thing we seem to be incredibly bad at is accepting the consequences of our actions as human beings. That's another one. From the issue I will use with this is that we are incredibly good at specializing and focusing more until we solve the problem. And this is where the world of waste comes from. When you actually strip it all away, that's where the world of the concept of waste comes from. Even in Victorian England, which is not that long ago, the word waste meant something different. It meant an attitude, a wasteful attitude, somebody who doesn't pay attention to how things can be used, because even then, everything was used. So wastefulness didn't mean waste as materials, because there wasn't any. It was like being too indulgent as a person. It's important to understand this, because our engineering disciplines that have created the most incredible stuff, building lazy lights that power the houses, it's amazing. But we have specialized and specialized and specialized. It starts and ends with breaking down the silos between the different disciplines and getting everybody to have a start point, general consensus that there is a point to being able to do things a bit different. Not everyone thinks, particularly when you talk to the energy sector or the waste sector, they have a hard enough job doing the daily job. So to talk about looking at things differently is like trying to tell a train to be a boat. You know, it doesn't know where to start. But you do it carefully. You do it by, first of all, asking a lot of questions and mapping out the landscape from each party's point of view, not just the subject area, but from their point of view. Where are the problems in being able to adopt this or this or this or this or this from a regulatory point of view, from a technical point of view, from a point of view of we just invested 50 million in this facility and it's got 15 years payback period to get through. How can we as a company write this off our balance sheet to take on your new technology? All of these things are the challenge of where you are now. But it all starts with will, and that starts with engagement, and it starts with people realizing, recognizing how a bit of pain now, even in effort, not necessarily that you don't have to lose money or whatever, or lose a position, a bit of effort now will pay off dividends in the long term. Because ultimately, what is all this sustainability about? What does the word sustainable mean? Particularly from an environmental law, and I was lucky enough to study environmental law as well. How I got a 2-1 in my law section without quoting any legal cases whatsoever, I don't quite know, but I managed to do it. What does sustainable mean? It means our species, our children, our children's children continue. That's all it really means. It can mean this policy, that policy, but what does it mean? It means not destroying ourselves. Now you tell me the chairman of an energy company that doesn't have grandchildren. You show me a politician that doesn't aspire to have a next generation. And you start there and gain also their ideas. So often, the biggest resistance that we find when we deal in situations is that those that know better, particularly if it's the West going to Africa or whatever, we come and tell you how you should do things. And I don't want to go and tell farmers that have been growing food for 1,000 years, generations in India, how to grow. I want to learn how they grow, and then which bits of this and this and this can help with where they are now, and what bits in the future could fit together and be developed more to fit with their climate, their situation, to then meet in the middle. Then you won't bring one farmer, you'll bring all of them. So I know that's a big ask, but if you were to really sit down and say, well, you're the environmental policy division for Ukraine, I only know a little bit about your centre. I know how incredibly famous this university is and how much of an honour it is to be sat here with you. But in one way, shape or form, it will be something like that. You need to get the stakeholders on board and engaged and not feeling like this is going to be another burden. Show where the opportunities are. And I think it's only early days, this biomimicry consent consortium that we just put together. It's only been over the last month that we put this consortium of parties together. And every big farmer that we speak to, every big retailer that we speak to, all say, we need this. We're kind of doing little bits of it, but it all needs to be brought together as something. Now, wouldn't it be wonderful if recorded here right now is an opportunity that the UK particularly is going to embrace this whole approach to food production in a proactive manner, and that another country out there that can supply food into the UK market, one of the best paying markets in the world, is also adopting similar practices, valorizing not just your waste energy, food, etc., but valorizing the very products of what you grow, because they've been grown to similar principles. Well, wouldn't that put Ukraine on the map? You are global food supplier for wheat and for sunflower and other products, which we've done very, very little high-level stuff. You are blessed with some of the best soils on earth, arguably the best soil. But none of these things we're talking about, they cost money to do. Everything costs money to do, but they are not. That they are about valorizing what comes out, and you can improve your use. You can improve the sustainability of your soil. You can improve its longevity. You can improve your pre and post harvest losses. You can improve the development of greenhouses, etc. In fact, I don't want to take up so much time, but I want to tell you a little story. Okay, and this really impressed the hell out of me. We were looking at a project in Qatar that was going to be world-class after Sahara Forest project. This was for 100 hectares of greenhouses, and there was an offering of theirs for 100-hectare plots of land and potential funding to the world, the whole world of agriculture, horticulture, to build greenhouses that are as sustainable as possible to supply and potentially export. We found out that next door was planned chicken production, huge chicken production, and we couldn't find out very much about them because we didn't find the contacts. We had a short time for this competition, but we spoke to the best people in the world, Europe, for chicken egg production, chicken broiler, chicken production, just to get the data to know what scale of waste will they be producing. And then we mapped out the best solution for the waste of the chickens. Chicken manure is terrible stuff. They don't urinate, you probably have stuff. There are ways of mitigating this. And we mapped out this whole system where we'd say, actually, don't use 100 hectares for greenhouses, use 40, 60 hectares for sacred grass. Sacred grass will offset the acidity, etc., of the intensity of the chicken manure, fit this together, blah, 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 anaerobic digestion, adsorption, cooling from the heat, waste from the glass, which will now not only treat the waste from next door, from the chickens, and sort this on site, turning it into nutrient waters for the irrigation for the greenhouses, etc. It's also going to cool the greenhouses and most probably cool the chicken houses for free, blah, blah, blah. This very nice, very complex, absolutely grade A engineering excellent solution for Qatar, where there is endless limits, whatever, but all possibilities possible. And then I'm very pleased with the team, and Paolo Mazzoloni presenting these slides was fundamental to its design. And then we reached out into the world to go and see, has anyone ever done this to this level? And we found out there was. In Ukraine. There is, I don't know where it is, we'll probably be able to find the data, a chicken production facility in Ukraine, somewhere near to Kiev, that took on the adoption of anaerobic digestion through to I think pyrolysis technologies, but through to adsorption cooling by using the waste heat, etc., of electric generation. Ukraine, not England, not Germany, not France, not America, Ukraine. So is it possible? Yes. Can you do it here? Yes. So the question then is, who do we need to speak to? I presented in a room, I was in a room with Dennis Sherman. I said this was actually about a Windows charity. We want to galvanise the UK industry to this. I'll tell you about this because it fits with the environmental. Right now, people throw away 9 million windows in the UK every year. 9 million windows. And this will be because the double glazing salespeople, the best salespeople on earth, car salespeople, will sell you the windows for the whole of your house. It's a clever industry. Every few years they change the style of the plastics, so you can't go and buy a window that fits your window that's only 5 years old. If one's gone, it's hard. You will replace all your windows. That's how the whole industry works. And every 20 years or so, English people like to make their house look new again, etc. Well, there's nothing wrong with 80% of those windows. And we are trying to pull together the glazing industries, etc., etc. That's why I came here and met with a lady called Olga, who, who is I believe the deputy mayor here, which is the senior. Because we want to figure out how do we get those windows, ship them to Ukraine, and I would love more than anything else to train injured soldiers in how to fit windows as sort of a small but very important step in the rebuild program. You can fit them. If they get blown out again, you can put new ones in. It's not going to be the end of the world. So that's a second charity that we're trying to stick with. The point is it's getting to speak with the right people who can engage at the right level. Maybe the fact that we have people in the UK, etc., we can bounce backwards and forwards with interaction with them. We work very closely with CHAP, Crop Health and Protection. It's a big agri-tech centre in the UK. We're category A partners with them. The agri-tech centres in the UK for livestock, data, and robotics or engineering are literally right now coming together into a super centre, which we people in. Maybe this can help partner with Ukraine under some UK government initiative that can help to bring in a lot more than just little ones. Whatever we can do in England, not indoors, we're just not. We're just not. If the Environment Agency says that you can't do this because it's not allowed, we just go and sway up the tree, we can't shape it until it changes.
I also have a question.
I will try not to make my next answer so
like I have so many questions, but most of them are out of words, so save them for later. I'm going to just go back to the inequalities. Does your company plan the whole city?
No. We're a tiny little cog doing projects with different departments inside here. So we are. So, for example, there's a consultancy working called sounds Italian, but they're 100-year-old consultancy, 5,000 staff, and we really like them because you have consultancies that are consultants, put it like that, and Ricardo you can go to one of their sites, and they are right now designing, building, and installing the next generation F1 McLaren race engines. They go to another site and they are designing, building, and testing the next generation hydrogen fuel cells for the cruise ships. They have an environmental consulting wing, but they are, as a company, a doing company. So we often work with them because we're tiny, they're huge, and they call us, what's described as the SAS. We can focus in on a subject and pull it to pieces very flexibly, because we pull in people from all over the world in expertise onto any subject. So Ricardo is a very good party to do at a government level scale project. They have that capability. They do a lot of the stuff at Neon, stuff in Saudi Arabia, Qatar. I believe they just secured the contract for monitoring all the air in Kuwait for the airlines, the airports, etc. So a lot of high-level consultancy at that end, which we then partner with them deployment.
So this is a decentralized question. Yes, we have a lot of stuff that are doing such thing. Why I raise this question? So as far as you know, we have a lot of city to rebuild, and some of them are going back to the stone age, and they are playing around. As you said before, this is the best place to start. But right after designing, again, clearing of that's all. So yes, the thing is that your venture is needed here. As I said, I have a lot of questions. Definitely not. But even after the war was over, one way or another, our neighbor will stay there as he is. And when we are planning for sustainable city, we have to consider the fact that this sustainable city has to be protected. And I want to emphasize the fact that not only Ukraine is in jeopardy. Yes. The big part, maybe the whole Europe, it's in the situation right now. I'm not talking about London and nuclear threats. Yeah, we just can't pull off the table this part. But yet the whole Europe, if it wants to rebuild those city as a sustainable way, I can say that. And it has to consider that this city has to be secure. That's why I ask if you are planning the whole infrastructure.
So from there are specialist parties that, when it comes to deploying technology that needs to be transportable, needs to be relocatable, that needs to be able to be deployed by a military situation, for example. There are capabilities in those ways. Of course, it's very hard to answer your question, because it brings back to the point of when you truly be confident to rebuild. And that brings all this wonderful discussion and the ideas, the vision, the incredible nature of people to rebuild at all, back into the reality of this is about strategic planning, one asset development.
A couple of years ago, I heard I didn't forward Kiyosaki
the question is always like, where to do less, like be more than cold. He said that the only thing that you can find, you have to invest in food. You have to invest in farming, because we have enough times ahead. Those times won't end for decades. And we have to think how to, well, I know that plants needs UV to raise life. Sure. First thing that comes to my mind that everything has to be underground. Everything has to be underground for obvious reasons. So I don't have any fresh ideas, you know, right here to do it. No, we don't have. But I think that we have to prepare those facts to take this factor, take it in. So it all depends on vertical farms, ideally, or more technical level. What is the energy? And for us, we are always saying the solving the problem we have here often is not looking here, it's looking over here. If you can, without getting into lots of technical stuff, we're working with a party that has incredible solar power technology, really transformational, nothing like any solar power technology we've seen. And its biggest value we see being used anywhere is in suddenly making vertical farming very, very easy, because the energy levels in a concentrated area and the fact that it's generating very high temperatures and very low temperatures we need to means that we can do stuff, catch up a lot more of that energy, which is either very high temperature, we convert it into low temperature to cool the operations in the Gulf, or heating the systems, etc., as well as the lighting. But then you need to look at, can people afford that? The premise for vertical farming is high value produce, high nutrition density, basil, leafy greens, etc. You need to balance all of these equations. Being able, I mean, okay, let's say if we started with a completely my IP lawyer, somebody I normally don't ever refuse to take a call for patents. If we were to say blank sheet of paper, so you're absolutely right about this whole point of Dyson, inventing the best new hand dryers and technology, whatever. Where's one of the first places the money's going into? Farming, buying lots of farmland, and then looking at how we can do it better for exactly the reasons. Is there stuff, knowledge, materials, etc., that we can help bring trial here for your current agricultural production to be higher yielding per meter squared? Yes. And certainly be delighted to help in any of those areas, set up some research program where you're trying different materials, etc., trial this biomimicry stuff that we're doing at the same time as we do it in the UK, that kind of stuff. Where it's things that you can put on the east of the country that is helping to feed, the west of the country that's helping to feed the east of the country. Very practical things like that. And and sometimes programs like that can take quite a long time unless there is an environmental pressure from the right parties with inside the government or inside the academic.
I don't even want to budget
but sometimes a driver for something actually, once the farmers have trialed it, experienced it very well, which we've done this years ago, can be driven from a greater need to produce more for less now in the country. That's one angle. To look at anaerobic digestion technologies and like not normal, much more advanced ones, which are not more expensive, that are producing. We have an system called AD++ that is producing all the fertilizer for PepsiCo's Walker's crisps or potato production, because the embedded carbon is a net positive, it's a negative, but it's also extremely good fertilizer from wastes. Developing the first steps of those kind of things. So and that's just talking about agriculture, it's not talking about circular economy systems, city scale systems. Why don't you tell me, what is it you guys are up to right now? Everything.
In where exactly?
I don't know, start, put all the, you know, like you put a thing on a jumper and the whole thing unravels. This is the environmental department, so let's start. This is the environmental department of the most prestigious university. What is it you wanted me to come here when you heard that I could come here? Thank you. What is it? What's the first thing on your minds you wanted to talk about? I'm just giving you a background so you understand.
I would say like this. First of all, an average person see an average foreigner in the US would help. Okay, that's a joke.
Okay.
That's a joke. I think we are like not a teenager, but a very young organism that is looking for opportunity to grow in a modern way. As you know, we used to be a Soviet Republic, and we have 80 years time gap from the civilized world. Now we are trying to run as fast as we can to catch up with the rest of the world. And for the 30 years of independence, we were ruled by former guys from the Soviet Union with their own mindset, like fresh people in the parliament. Half of them were Russian loyalists who tried to devastate the country from inside out. And now we find this path where we can move forward. Yes, from this point, we're just open our mouths and look for where can we find a solution to grow as a country, and every single one of us as a person. So we are lately trying to change our mindset to be like our people who wanted to be like the Europeans, like we have a picture of lifestyle that we want to achieve, but we still have a lot of people who are trying to, who just not allow us to do this, like elder people, like we talk. So yes, we just trying to make ourselves.
As Elisa said, we need some time for this right way and right destination, and a good example for our movement. So,
well, I can tell you from my side personally, and from Yvonne's side, we are a company, we go up, we go down, we go down different continents, but I am very happy to say that anything and everything we can do to help, if that's a 10-year commitment, a 20-year, I don't care. What better use of your time could you have than trying to help you guys?
This is what sustainability is about. It was decades, double decades.
Yeah, but where else is the need? Okay, yes, sub-Saharan Africa. in some ways, I think we're going to see it, in many ways, Ukraine is much easier to deal with than somewhere like Sub-Saharan. We've been there, and there's corruption, there's Western, need to be careful, if this is being recorded, I need to be careful to say. There is the interesting situation in England of certain new companies being formed that happen to have gone to school at the same schools as our politicians to do PPE things.
It can be.
It's not possible, is it? Yes. Who'd have thought about exactly? There's Soviet Ukraine corruption, and then there is Sub-Saharan Africa corruption. It's a whole.
I think it's another level.
So thankfully you don't have that. We like to roll our sleeves up. Okay, this all wonderful Linux shirt, my lovely badge. But we like to roll our sleeves up. We like to get in the data, in the stuff. Just give us everything. We'll meet it. Help us understand the landscape of your agriculture, your waste, your energy, water systems. Give us everything. Dump us.
Okay, just look my email.
Obviously summarized, preferably translated. Where's the pain? I mean, every situation, no matter how complex it looks, every situation has got low hanging fruit. Easiest things to start. I think what would help me is to better understand what your institute. This is a university, so you have students and you have postdoc researchers as well as doctoral, undergrad, masters. How big is your school? How many students?
Now, on 7,000, I believe so. Something like that.
Is that for your department, for the environment, or is that
No,
for the university?
All the university. It used to be 21,000 in the best times, but now we have only about 10 lots.
And so you have the environment. What other divisions? Sectors?
Yes. We have environmental law department. This is head of the land and agrarian law department. Yes, European Union law department. So we have a lot of departments. University.
But the university itself then is a law university.
Yes.
So it starts as law and then so where you've got, I saw on the Wi-Fi, one said energy. So do you have an energy law division, or is that just not regular for just
we have some courses about this sphere.
Okay.
So excuse me, you want to say that environmental law, land law, agrarian law is the future of Ukraine, yes?
Yes.
I say that you want to
students.
Well, okay, let me say this. If you don't have the laws, nobody will do anything. It has to start with not just laws, but policy. Without the policy, you don't have anything. You have a free fall. You have whatever will make the most money in the short term. And the most important thing about environmental law and land policy isn't the rules, it's the enforcement of them. So you can have every policy on water quality or how you are allowed to use land or not allowed to contaminate land, but if there's no one going to enforce it and there isn't a set of phrase is prescriptions, but there's a set of consequences for it, then you have nothing. You can have the best TV advertising and documentaries about how wonderful Ukraine is. It's irrelevant. It's all irrelevant. It all starts with rules. Without the rules, you will not change the direction of the ship. So it's almost, if I was to big up your university, which I most certainly will, it's like without the navigation, the country is already in the middle of icebergs. And as a civilization, the Western world is heading towards icebergs. You guys and what you do is what creates the mapping out of the pathways to avoid the icebergs. What more important work could you be involved in?
Like a nose on an icebreaker.
Like a nose on an iceberg, hopefully, if it's successful, you don't need the iceberg.
This is a way for us.
Well, again, look at the positives. You have some of the best.
No, yes, it's always going to be worse.
By the way, we have a question from Evgenia. Unfortunately, she has some problems with connection, so we can't ask this question herself. Because it's very connected with speech of Philip. What national policies should be elaborated now, and what legislative frameworks should be developed, e.g. in agriculture sphere, to ensure swift green recovery of Ukraine?
I kind of need to ask a question to answer your question, which is we would need to understand what is your current legislative framework around the environmental state of agriculture in your country. That's where it starts before we can say what should it be. But the achievement of a set of standards and a roadmap for achieving those standards, for net carbon zero, those kind of standards in food production, if you were looking at this from an agricultural point of view. Don't take every rule that's being written or being considered in Europe for its policies. In the West, we're dealing with soils that are heavily depleted. Look at what fits where Ukraine's agriculture is now and where it would be ideal to get to so that you can be the premier importer of food into Europe to the next generation of standards that are likely to come out. And I'm not going to bang the drum of biomimicry because we're leading it. We're leading it because somebody has to. And as when we speak to the retailers, the first thing to say is, we all know this needs to happen. So, and they know that this will land with consumers once you can understand, hey, you know what, we can eat guilt-free. It's not either just who can afford it with organic and kind of make yourself feel good, but it's not going to solve the problems. We can actually solve this. It's a very big motivator with consumers, that leads to the retailers. The retailers are the people who buy the products. The products will be based on standards. The standards are based on practices. The practices are based on what's the rules that you guys set down as to what is the way that food production must fit across carbon, nitrogen, fertilizer uses, pesticide uses particularly, the adoption of biostimulants, etc., that kind of stuff. So I can't answer it much more than that because I don't know what's there now to what you work to. And yeah, having been involved with probably the best massage I've ever had in my life, the best haircut I've ever had, Knowing all the babushkas, etc., that we take care of, that's part of the reason I come back at the school to the babushka back to help fix the dasher that got bombed in Kiev. All of the Ukrainians in Europe right now want to come back to Ukraine to have their hair done, their medical, their dentistry, their etc. So I'm not, and having experienced little bits of it, I don't disagree with you. Sorry, NHS, but I really don't disagree with you. So I'm not going to sit here and say, well, of course, your legislation, your rules or your farming practices are 16th century. But you start with the end and work backwards. What do you want to do? You want to grow better food. You want to be more sustainable. Okay, great. What you really want to do is sell your food for the highest price you can sell it for. That's what you really need to do. If you're going to reconstruct the country, make as much money as possible. And for me, money is never, this greedy people, but money is a metric of efficiency. If it makes more money, but across a chain, which is where we've been too specialised in just one bit. If it makes enough money, we throw the rest away because it's just waste, we don't need it, but this makes, no, valorise it across the whole picture, and that should make more money for your country. And so start with what the ultimate products you would want to the ultimate customers, that as your own domestic customers, you won't believe it right now, but at some point your own consumers, who will be consumers, not just victims of your oligarch political systems, they will actually be demanding. When I was at the Rebuild Ukraine conference, I think I said something that wasn't well received by the people on the panel who were talking about, oh, we have this American fund with this billion and that billion and the other billion. I got so annoyed, I just stood up and said, excuse me, right, so sorry, I go to Ukraine a lot. In England at Christmas, the price of turkey goes down. At Easter, the price of Easter eggs and chocolate goes down. And I'm in Ukraine, the price of flowers and Valentine's Day goes up. So, can someone please tell me who is going to get these billions? Because if, so long as the price of it goes up, when demand goes up, which means that the cost of production goes down, etc., exactly the opposite direction to what macroeconomics on the entire planet does, where are those billions going? Into the pockets of the oligarchy, well, then I wouldn't sit up on stage and talk about it in public. Don't be proud of it, because until you fix these systems to some degree, there will always be large conglomerates, etc. But we can't. George Bush, America, everyone can become the king or the queen. It's fantastic. 380 million people. George Bush Senior, and then George Bush Junior wins it. Incredible, what a lottery, two people from the same family, just 2 generations ago. Wow, of course there's corruption in the world, but what matters is that people's lives in their meaningful level, that you have fairness, that no one's above the law, that the price of turkey goes down at Christmas when the demand goes up. I know you're an environmental law here, but this is a law university. Maybe some of that is also what's needed. I'm sorry if I'm talking about other subjects to law, but I'm very, very passionate about, in 20 years' time, I am certain you are going to look back at this terrible time, with a transformed political system as much as a transformed circular economy developed, because the West has got to pump the money into rebuilding Ukraine. It has to. We're not stupid. You are sat on the border, and so we rebuilt Berlin after the war, because otherwise we learned from the Treaty of Versailles it's not a good idea for people that have lost to stay lost, otherwise it happens again. So we did the opposite, rebuilt Germany, and Germany is now a fantastic country, a fantastic living democracy. fantastic engineering, etc., but it was at least significantly in part because the West learned from its mistakes in the First World War and didn't punish the losers, because the losers are the people, and they're just the same people as the people that do the winning. Well, my viewpoint, and I'm upsetting certain politicians when I say this here, but it's not your politicians that are winning this war, it's not your army that's winning this war, it's your people that are winning this war, that then join the army, or how you have the drafting of it, it's incredibly controversial. But it's the will of you people. I mean, God, I got to Lviv, and 2 days before, two of these god-awful super fast missiles had hit and killed 4 people, and I walked past 4 of the sites. And then I walked into the park. And I burst into tears because there were lovers walking around arm in arm, sitting. This wasn't a country under siege. These people aren't sitting there hiding away, etc., which almost is what the Western media is portraying all the time. And I made a video, and I wanted to send it to the BBC to do it, of this is worse than that, because you people are defiantly, okay, you close the shopping mall because the alarms have gone off, but we're going outside. We're going to stay there, and then we are down and we're going back in and living our lives, because this is terrorism more than it is war, which is worse. But I'm sorry to say, but I believe that from both the fact that before World War I, there was lord and servants. And I've been seeing this a lot recently because every Ukrainian lady that comes over, the first thing they watch in learning English is The Crown on Netflix, which is about the Queen. And the next one is Downton Abbey, which is about the lord and servants world. And I've seen them all about 5 times because Ukrainian ladies love seeing this whole thing. But it was also a reminder, before World War I in England, there's lord and servants, and that's that. Never going to change. It hasn't changed for 1,000 years, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000. Yeah, it changed. Now, we get to World War II, and we get to the end of it. Who won World War II? Not the army, not the politicians, the people. Thank you very much, Winston Churchill. Very, very great that you led us through, but we're voting you out because we want pensions, we want healthcare, we want civil liberty rights, etc., etc. And that's what we're going to have because we put so much effort into winning against this. And I believe that through both the people here fighting, and you're fighting sat here in this room right now, not running away and hiding somewhere, particularly in Kharkiv. You should be proud of yourselves that you are here. But also those that have got experience the West, all across the world, many of which want to come back in time, will come back. And when the old ways start to just happen, where somebody won a vote of 98%, I went to the voting station and it was house 104 in a road with only 102 houses. It will not be the Orange Revolution in Maidan Square. It will be the Kiev Revolution with half the country turning up to go, no. And I believe that is inevitable because none of you are going to sit still if that starts to leak back in. And that, when we're talking about rebuilding and talking about changing policies, etc., I think is as fundamental in the future brightness of your country. There's a Buddhist that taught me, really annoyed me for about an hour with a bowl with corks in the bowl in Tibet, and said, how do you make a cork jump out of water on its own? Shake it, push it down. Only by pushing it down does it gain momentum to jump up above the water? But I know it's easy for me to say that here. I was yesterday with a beautiful babushka and her wonderful husband who's got stage 4 cancer. He will not make it in this no matter what. He was the head of metallurgy for couple. And the most honourable man I have met in it, facing his future. Well, he's caring about what's going to happen to his wife. They're doing everything we can to make sure that that's taken care of. But the defiance of your people against this aggression, it will pay dividends in the future, shaping it. You know, coming over on the train, even from July, sorry, that's what I said, but even from July last year, coming on the train over to the trip over here, I'm going in and out of the carriages going to go smoke. Half the time I'm not, I'm just going to go cry, because everybody on that train coming home that are coming from, there was a lady from Denmark, a lady from England, everybody is talking to everybody else on the whole train. This doesn't happen anywhere unless you are, and it just made me think, but it's the commonality, and I see it here more. Maybe I'm wrong, but people say to me, "Are you crazy going to Ukraine? It's more dangerous." And it's more dangerous in London. Frankly, there's more police. But also, I see amongst everyone that, of course, there'll be people trying to take advantage. There always is. But the commonality, the common decency of people here looking out for each other more. Am I right to say it's more now than it was before?
Yes, that's absolutely true. But let's say, on the very beginning of the war, our union was great. People gathered around and even know this person or not. If you need zero, how is it? Once again, bomb shelters, a common place, everybody there, and people experience the feeling of the world is dead, and so everybody on the same boat. So yeah, I remember on the second day before I could leave, early in the morning, we just went for a walk with family. Around one person was packing his car and just gave us tour, just a couple of hours later, a person parked the car near our house without back doors. Open up his trunk, popped out the trunk, and shout about that is offering chicken for free for people who need it. And that's a common practice when people just put, unless something to share, you share. Now, when you can say that the war is the thing that you just get taken, and every day, it's like a routine right now for people. We are we fighting each other for something as united as we were doing too, but we still feel this, yes, in the moments of danger.
Yes. And I think when this ends, your politics cannot go not back to what it was, not to say that.
I would say they don't have much options because we have 250,000 of militarized troops here, and some regiments like the South regiment or Brotherhood battalion won't just let it slide. have a lot of contacts. They have a lot of intentions. I believe we are one step forward for the future because our people have an armed support of the same people. Because as you said, that's not an army, that's people. Yes. Just art. Yes. And the person is willing to speak, and the person who is AK-47 to the people. Yes. Versus. Yeah.
So, if I may, I just want to make a remark. So, you said that you're fascinated of like how robust and resistant Ukrainian people are, and I would like to ask. So you were also talking about this like liberal approach that you have in the West that we like don't really have in Ukraine, like this liberalism. So my question is, of course, I'm not going to take things politically, but don't you think that this political approach is like more harmful for the people, like mentally wise, not economically wise?
It's funny you say that, because I mean, this is just a talking person. I spend a lot of time in the car, and I meet somebody your age who they send me their WhatsApp number, and the picture I will see, I go, oh, is that your father? No, it's the Crown Prince. And I think somebody who's in their 20s, I think I might be very polite to people, but they're reaching that age where people look so much. To their system seems to work for them. Certainly when I see examples of 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds proudly, because they're proud of their leader. I think the Arabic culture is fascinating. Of course, every system of diversity here, but I know some really good Christian people, but like really good Christian people who live. And one of them once said they misquoted the Bible. It should say, Jesus said, where one or two are gathered together, but no more than 10. And then you wouldn't have had churches, and then you wouldn't have had pogroms, and then you wouldn't have had power structures. So nothing, even religion, Christianity, with the virtues and values that it's supposed to have, ever ends up perfect. So liberal values, that's a very interesting question. I think it's almost more what's led by what's a Ukraine politics look like. And some cultures prefer to have a strong leader that goes on for a period of time. The difference is whether that leadership is benign, mostly benign, or whether it is, as we see in Russia, I'm already on a blacklist for Russia apparently, so burning many bridges. But I've been to Russia a few times, and I absolutely adore the people I've met. But yeah, the wall-to-wall brainwashing propaganda, and I know this probably will not be popular in this room, but I genuinely feel very sorry for the Russian people, because I don't think if you were to take all of us, stick us in that big brother boom and have every single thought that comes past us control, I wouldn't guarantee all of us will walk out of that space after a few years the same people, and we are naive to think otherwise. So that's a situation where, you know, when I was here last, in 3 days, I think there was 3 or 4 of those hypersonic missiles that hit. And I experienced them with you as if I was part of it. But I was probably the only person here thinking, I'm sorry for the Russian people as well, because they're like $2.5 million each. That's their country's wealth that's been stolen from them before they even knew or ever will know it's theirs, and thrown away on hitting a car park. It's obscene across the whole level. So, sorry, I'm not answering the question directly. It shouldn't be liberal democracy, because it should be what it is that your people want. And I suspect it will shape itself with some new labels as it goes forward, because no country's been through what we've been through either. When we were in World War II, my whole family's military. RAF, to the very first plan, and then before they became. So I have a military review. It was a choice. Contract. So that's what it's called. We have a similar experience. A similar experience to markets. This is a single country that had such experience. And this country is a Soviet Ukraine in World War II. Because we have all countries have one wars. Yes, you have instituted, yes, because it was, yes. And because the wars of living memory, not even living memory now, were ones where there was multiple countries on multiple sides. Despite all the literal help that we are giving you, it's seen possibilities. You're on a world stage, on your own, forging this against one of 2 of the biggest global threats there are. So, in answer to your question, any pursuit of it should automatically be Western style liberal political system, which I suspect is the basis of your question. No, it should be what you guys decide as you figure out, because it should certainly be done by referendums, I think. Not a referendum even going on. As long as you trust your balloting system. Yeah, you guys are creating a new chapter in human experience, and I don't think anyone thinks about that. But you really are, because nobody's done quite what you're doing. And these things do shape how you think about what it is to be a person and or a citizen, or your relationship to the state, or whatever. I think it's no doubt going to be a painful rebirth. It always will. I mean, I certainly don't think, I'm no political commentator. I have observed Ukraine a lot. I don't think it will change because the war ends and then it'll all be fine. I don't think it'll be like that at all. I think some of the old ways will start to slip in, and then there'll be just 10 million people in Kiev going, no, okay, and then it'll change. And what it quite changes into will probably go backwards and forwards, but hopefully the price of chicken will go down at Christmas. And the one thing that I would urge any and all of you to be involved with is changing the lives of the bourgeois in this country. When the pension is half the price of their gas bill, this is where it almost doesn't matter which political system you engage with. Please, your taxation systems need to reflect the needs. go babushka hunting. I don't know. A priority for me coming here is getting that ATM as fast as I can. It's heartbreaking. It is one thing, I'm afraid.
So it's very like depressing and sad to still see that many companies and individuals in the West still value this whole situation from the perspective of financial, like economical value, economical interests, while our people, our nation is literally dying out, and many people, like for example in Poland, well, I'm sorry for taking this politically, in Poland many people, many businessmen, many this bodies still, they don't know what a war is, and they like their interests are purely economical, and they can't really feel what Ukrainians feel. For example, these cases with grain, like Polish farmers that do
Lorries. The blocking of the lorries.
Yes, the blocking of the lorries.
So no, for me it's very depressing to see that people like, of course they haven't gone through what we are going, and in our history, for example, with grain, dumping grain is not the best idea, because we had a little more in Ukraine. Yeah, I just want to say that it's really sad to see that many companies and individuals in the West still value money more than people's lives. Of course, you're not a political expert.
No, but it is. I think there's difficulties, particularly in the agriculture sector across Europe. It's a very tough business. There's no business like food. We will say this to people when you design a greenhouse. People want to buy a greenhouse at the price of carpet. I'm trying to explain in architectural terms, or when we're dealing with big consultancies on some scheme for greenhouses. The first thing you have to do is drop a naught off the end of the cost of the greenhouses, because you're not building this for people to live in or do business in. It's to grow cucumbers. And it is the harshest business in the world, this food. It's one of the few businesses that every day the spot price changes. So I'm not defending the Polish at all, because you're quite right, the needs are of a different level. Yeah, fights over food will become something more and more apparent over the next few decades.
So thank you very much. Thank you very much, dear Philip, for your lecture. Very interesting, very useful. Thank you very much for your visit, that you visit our Kharkiv. You are so modest, but you are so brave too. A lot of thanks for your support, for your help, for your care. And as you said at the beginning of your lecture, and as Winston Churchill said earlier, never give up. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Thank you all our participants for this day. Thank you for this lecture. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I will